Thanks for making the journey.
Yep, always.
You take the turnpike?
I did. And it's funny because Wichita now has like 2 exits right next to each other because they built to go to Kansas City. It used to just be the K96 one. And so it still confuses me. But luckily you can miss it, get on K96 like 100 feet later, and then just loop right back around.
And then get back off. Yeah, I'm still getting used to that too.
Yep.
I never know which way's faster. I'm so used to exiting at Chipotle there.
Yeah.
Grab my burrito, then go down a little farther and get on the turnpike.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing just because I'm so used to the old highway. But when I come into town now from Kansas City, because now you used to have to take the exit, go through the turnpike, get off on like Webb and these types of things. Now you just get right on and it leads right to the highway going west.
Yeah.
So that's still a little confusing, but way faster.
Yeah. This is Kansas talk, everybody, because, in Kansas, there's no traffic. So, but we still talk about, driving and directions. What's the best way to get here? Well, there's, sometimes 4 cars at this stoplight. So you probably want to go this way.
Yep.
If there's literally any stoppage on Kellogg, I'm just
it's like a whole big deal. Yep. We went to Dallas for Thanksgiving. And leaving Dallas, we got stuck in a 2-hour traffic jam. So it took 2 hours to exit the city, and it reminded me how much I love Kansas.
Yeah, perfect. All right, guys, I'm Sam McVeigh, the host of the Killer Growth Podcast, and today I have Miguel Johns with Milton AI.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I don't know if you've heard an episode, but we start real easy. Love to hear your story from wherever you want to start to what brought you to Milton AI.
Yeah, man, I've been an entrepreneur now for 10 years, even though when I think about growing up and just little experiences you go through as a kid, I realized I had entrepreneurial tendencies way back. And my grandfather on my mom's side was a true bred entrepreneur.
Cool.
So he used to work at a manufacturing plant. He would make tacos in the morning, bring dozens of tacos to work, sell them for lunch, come home, call me up. We'd go mow lawns, make some extra money there. So he was always doing entrepreneurial things, some good ideas, some terrible ideas. But that's the way it goes. And then when I got to college, I was playing college football, had an injury, ended my football career. And as I'm sure all athletes go through at some point, whether it's in middle school or you're playing college, you come to the reality that this isn't forever. And so that led me down a dark night of the soul, trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I had a crazy couple things happen just simultaneously while I was open to this idea of new things. I was already getting my degree in exercise science, which is like if you don't want to be a medical doctor, but you still want to be involved in health, exercise science and exercise physiology is a good route to go because you can help people before they get to the hospital. And I had a couple friends on the football team who were doing things that I didn't recognize. They're on social media, they're promoting products, they're talking about their own business, and that was a foreign concept to me, really. And that sparked some ideas. Then I took a little vacation, thanks to my brother-in-law. He took me out to Key West. That was my first real vacation of my entire life. So growing up, being an athlete, the travel that we did was all around sports. So, okay, we got a track meet in St. Louis. We're going on vacation, right?
Sure.
And so then when I went to Key West, I was like, people do this regularly? What's going on here? And I met this guy down at the bar, and he started talking about entrepreneurship and how he owned businesses, and that's how he was able to bring his family and all these things. And so the whole flight home, I'm like, what is entrepreneurship? I'm binge watching YouTube videos. I'm watching Gary Vee in his early days and just like absorbing everything I can. It just so happened, as soon as I got back for the next semester of school, one of my professors in this class, Chronic Disease Prevention and Management, showed us this documentary. And it was all about the healthcare system and about how people are getting worse. Doctors are burning out. We feed people medications when they're already sick, and it's just not working. And we're wasting all this money on healthcare. And in the U.S., if you lose a limb and you need to go to the hospital, the U.S. is the best healthcare in the world. If you've got something like diabetes and you're diagnosed in your 40s, then the U.S. is the worst healthcare system in the world because they don't have time for you, and they're just going to give you medication until you come back when you're 65 and got to go to the hospital. And so that just reached out to the screen, grabbed me by the heart, and is like, this is what you're going to work on. That many little things led me to starting the journey. And as you know, it's funny because everybody cheers you on, okay, you're going to go be an entrepreneur. And you almost have like this celebration, like, all right, we're launching, we're doing something. What you don't realize when you start is you're with your village and they're all cheering you on. just for you to go walk into this forest that's dark with monsters and all sorts of things in it. Yeah. And you're cheering, thinking, I'm doing it, let's go. And then you take one step in and realize everything in there is trying to eat you.
Right. Yeah. I'm just a snack.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Probably the best one I've ever heard. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yep. So now I'm here talking
now
to you.
You're here.
Yep.
Now here we are.
There's another 10 years that led to Milton, but
Yeah.
That's
we'll
how I got started in entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. Athletic career ended, got inspired by a fellow on a trip.
Yep.
I've not heard that. That's cool.
Yep.
That's a great beginning to a very tough business.
Yeah,
called entrepreneurship.
Yeah, he made it seem so awesome. He was in a whole different state. He was 25 years deep, and he's like, if you just stick with it this long, then maybe this could be you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, he didn't tell me how long though.
Yeah, he didn't tell me.
I always missed that part.
Yep.
Didn't tell me about the bad days.
Yeah, not at all.
So yeah, let's jump into the first thing. And the first time I met you was at 1 Million Cups.
Yep.
So you leave Emporia, or it started in college, your first business idea? Correct?
So I was at Emporia State first. That's where I was playing football and running track.
Yeah.
I left Emporia, went to Hutch Community College, which is, what's funny is my Hutch Community College team was like the best athletes I've ever played with.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a lot of guys there who ended up going to Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and then on to the NFL.
Great JUCO
yeah. And then I went to Indiana State after that. And that's where I started learning about, I was getting my degree in exercise science, which also is inspired by my family. So a lot of people with diabetes in my family, people have died from diabetes complications like renal failure and heart disease. And so that drove me into exercise science. I see that documentary, and then I go into back to my dorm room apartment and just YouTube. From then out, I gave up ESPN, I gave up video games, Netflix. I was just all about entrepreneurship. So I did launch my first company, KingFit, while still in my still my college dorm. And it was just with college buddies, and we had no idea what we were doing, but we were doing something.
Yeah. And so you came back to Wichita.
Yep.
This is where you launched KingFit. Tell us what KingFit was.
Yeah. So I moved back to Wichita. I was fortunate enough to get a job at a amazing private gym called Go Time Training. And it used to be over on K96 in Greenwich. And it was run and operated by two awesome entrepreneurs. So one is Kayleen, and she's still in Wichita making a bunch of moves. She owns Toastique and one of the Pilates bar gyms, and she's just always making moves. And then the other was Shannon Dykeman, and he's moved since, but he owns another gym now. And I learned so much from them. So I do got to give them a shout out. I learned a ton about running a business, especially a fitness business, and how to operate it. And they brought me under their wing. So I'm doing KingFit on the side. I'm working with them. And at the same time, Wichita is going through this renaissance. So 1 Million Cups is brought back up and everybody's pushing. And so I just fell in the right place at the right time. I was also doing my own research. So I came across a guy named Carlos, who's also one of the OGs, and love him to death. He mentored me early on. And he was the one who got me the 1 Million Cup spot, because I went and found him. I'm like, I want to get into making apps. I've got this online coaching service. So we were serving people. We were charging them. I would put videos out on social media. I would sign people up, charge them $50 a month, make them a workout, make them a nutrition plan.
Gotcha.
And back then I was trying to use all these different off-the-shelf tools. None of them really worked how I wanted. And so that gave me the concept, well, I need to build our own thing. And I had no idea what I was doing. So then many things started at that point.
Right. Yeah. So you show up to Million Cups. Was that your first pitch? If people don't know what 1 Million Cups is, the goal is 1 million cups of coffee around the world. It's an entrepreneurial networking group. They're all over. I've been to them in other cities too. But there's 2 pitches, 6-minute pitch, and then like 20 minutes of Q&A, and then another 6-minute pitch, 20 minutes of Q&A. Was that your first ever pitch of a concept?
So it wasn't, and I knew I was good at public speaking even growing up, because everybody has to take speech class, and I remember in that class, it was just different for me.
Sure.
Everybody else is freaking out, they're nervous, they're stuttering, all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I can do this.
Can I talk more?
Yeah, I could do this all day. And so then I actually, when I was in high school, I played in the Kansas Shrine Bowl game, which is like the football all-star game.
Yeah.
And I was selected for that game to give the presentation at the banquet. And that was the moment I realized, like, for real, I can do this. Yeah. If nothing else, I can become a professional public speaker and make a career out of it. Because that was a game-changing presentation for me. So then I get to college, and in that same class where I watched that documentary, later that year we had to give a presentation on like some sort of future innovation in the health space. And my partner, who had been working on it with me for the last 4 weeks, overslept. So we've got this hour-long presentation to give. I've planned to give 25 minutes, and I know my 25 minutes. He doesn't show up. So then I have to improvise and do a 60-minute presentation. Yeah. And on the spot, I did it and nailed it and literally got 100% from my professor. He told me, he's like, awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. And then I was like, okay, I need to take the same energy and what I did here in storytelling and everything I did and apply it to KingFit. And so just so happened, I moved back, got invited to 1 Million Cups. And that was the first time I presented KingFit to the world.
Okay.
And the result, because of the timing of Wichita, the result was unbelievable.
Yeah. So created a big network.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward into that. So now KingFit evolved a couple times.
Yeah.
Right. So take us through that evolution.
Yeah. So even in college, when I started diving into what I was going to build in the healthcare space, there was this almost like evolution happening. And there's 2 major ideas. One is we need to prevent chronic disease because right now, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, I don't know if people know this, but heart disease is the leading cause of death in the U.S. And you could say, well, just because people get old and their heart dies off, but a lot of it is preventable. So people are getting obese, they're getting type 2 diabetes, it's causing heart disease much faster, and there's a lot of stuff that could be prevented. And those things that could be prevented cost us a bunch of money. And so if you imagine somebody has type 2 diabetes, they don't manage it well, one day they get dizzy or have complications because their blood sugar's out of balance. They go to the hospital. They may take an ambulance there. And just by going to the ER, now they've racked up a $10,000 bill. And it was all preventable. If they just knew what was going on and how to get their blood sugar back in balance, which would have cost $2, instead it's $10,000. And so that's this most simple way to explain what's happening in the healthcare system today with preventable conditions like obesity and diabetes and some of these others. And so seeing that, there was this big push towards we need more prevention-based services. And that inspired me because that was right up my alley. I could help keep people healthier, keep them out of the hospital, people like my dad who has type 2 diabetes. Then at the same time, there was this idea that we could use technology to deliver healthcare. And this was way before COVID. And so when COVID hit, that took off. But they were planning that, and even myself, we were planning those types of services in 2014. And there was a couple companies just getting started that are worth billions of dollars now, and I remember watching them in their early days, and it was all about, well, let me set up the health professional on a web chat. Let me create the programming that's clinically based and outcomes-based, and outcomes-based just means it gets measurable results if somebody participates in a certain way. And so in healthcare, that's important because if you have somebody with diabetes, they may have a glucose reading that's high, and the doctor has to decide what to do to get that glucose reading into a safe range, and they've got all these options. And so you compete based on your outcomes and your price to be that option. And then if you do that well enough, insurance plans will pay for it, and then you've hit the jackpot.
Sure.
And so that's the whole game, and technology makes that far more scalable. So before technology, if I'm a healthcare provider, I can reach the people in my community. Now you apply technology, and everybody in Silicon Valley is like, we can have one team of healthcare providers and reach everybody in the world, right? And so those 2 things were happening right when I was in college, and that inspired me to start designing KingFit. Now, I knew that there was a access problem. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you were wealthy in the right community, you could afford a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a doctor. But 99% of people could not. And so I seen that and thought, well, if everybody had access to the top level exercise physiologist, which is something I was, and the top level dietitian and somebody helping manage their stress, like a therapist and a doctor, then the results we would get would be much better.
Yeah.
So how do we accomplish that? And there was a technology that started to peek its head out called IBM Watson. Now, the way they marketed IBM Watson, let me tell you, I just knew it was what OpenAI is today. It was not. They acted like this is an AI platform. You can build on it. You can innovate. Yeah. So that's what I came to Wichita with KingFit pitching. We're going to build an AI coach.
Gotcha.
And as soon as we raised money and set out to try to do that, we realized it's not even close.
They can't do that.
The main thing that was missing was the natural language processing. The thing that makes ChatGPT great today, that was missing. And that was a hard lesson. Because I had to make probably 20 pivots figuring out we can't build this AI coach. What the heck do we build, right?
Yeah.
And so we built an educational platform where specialists could deliver their content that way. We built nutrition apps. We built a text-based system that was not even close to what Milton is today, but started to show some early promise, and lots of different products because the original one, it just wasn't ready to be built. I call that my entrepreneur education. I learned a ton. I learned how to find the right team because with KingFit, it was my college buddy. So I loved to death. But I didn't know what it meant to have like actual professionals and specialists on your team. I learned about building products. So the first dev shop I worked with took me for an absolute ride. Right? Like, oh, you got money. That's that's our money now. And here's your product you know nothing about. Right. Turns out the back end was built in Mandarin and it was all sorts of bad. It was all bad. Bad. I just learned a lot. I learned about closing healthcare deals. So I did get a couple lucky shots on goal, got a couple contracts and learned all about that. And eventually wrapped that up around 2020, 2021, pretty much right before COVID, maybe kind of right during COVID. And I was fortunate enough to have one main angel investor with me through that journey and watch me grow and develop, and then decided, you know what, whatever's next, I'm in, right?
Sure.
And so then Moment was born, which is the name of our company, and Milton came out of that, our flagship product.
Yeah. So talk about that. That's a hard thing to probably close down in a sense. I mean, that's a pretty big chapter. How many years was that?
At least 5.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And what a way to learn. Talk about a doctorate and
seriously.
And talk about the non-technical founder side, for people watching that are in software. What'd you learn in that 5 years about being a non-technical founder?
The first thing I did when we started Moment was find me a technical co-founder and give him a good chunk because I learned lessons the hard way about being a non-technical. And it's just a different language. It's just a different understanding. And so I can sit here and even then I wasn't great at providing true detailed scopes, right? And understanding how to allocate resources for that scope and what real timelines and budgets are. I didn't know any of that.
Right.
And so
it's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
On whoever you're handing the check to.
Here's my massive vision. We should be able to make this happen, right? And then lesson after lesson after lesson. So if you are non-technical, the game has changed. AI is now available. So what I would suggest is use these AI tools, create prototypes, and go into as much detail as you can with the prototype. Do not think that the prototype is going to get you to the promised land. There's so many holes and gaps in these AI prototypes, and maybe they will get better, and they most likely will over these next few years. But that's an advantage I didn't have. So when I was first starting and trying to develop technology, I'd have an idea in my head. I would take that and put it on a document with just like blocks and circles. Here's what's supposed to happen here. Here's what's supposed to happen here. And when you first start doing that, you don't realize all the little details between each one of those blocks and circles. So
essentially like a wireframe.
Except the highest level, like the highest fidelity wireframe you could imagine. And what you realize once you can turn that into a prototype, which when I started cost me $5,000 with a designer and a bunch of time and effort. And then it would be designed wrong. And then we go back and all these steps. Today, you can take that concept, use an AI tool, build that wireframe, and then what you must do is get real people, real customers who know nothing about it to go and try to use it. Because you will immediately see that what you thought was a clear step 1 to step 2 is actually like step 1 to step 10.
Right.
And it's not clear at all. And you need that. And that is so, so important before you get into building anything. That is the most valuable part of technology, I believe, now today. And we see this in the market. There's so many products and apps that raise all this money, build what's supposed to be this game changer, and then nobody ever uses it. Because humans get into something, they give it one chance, and if it's even just the littlest bit of confusing or full of friction, then they're gone.
Yeah.
So I would say any entrepreneur who's non-technical, master that skill, master taking your vision, bringing it to some sort of reality, whether it's in a PowerPoint presentation or I recommend these new AI tools, building prototypes, get as many people to test that as possible and just watch how they use it, watch where they get confused, write down what questions they ask, and then go back into your work and just iterate until you can present it to somebody and they just flow through to the outcome. Now you're ready to build something.
I love that. Yeah, I just learned a lot right there. Norris, did you write that down? Oh, wait, we're recording, I guess. Yeah, we can go back and watch this. Now, that's really good, man. You hear that story over and over. We're in the middle of that right now, figuring it out. So thankful for guys like you. I get to see that have done it long enough now.
Lots of pain,
but powerful. I mean, that's the point of your analogy, going to the woods with a bunch of monsters that want to eat you.
Yeah.
Reid Hoffman's line, my favorite line of entrepreneurship until you said that, is entrepreneurship's like falling out of a plane. Like you're falling in the sky. You have all the pieces for a plane that are falling with, and you got to put them together before you hit the ground. Because limited time, limited resources, and you don't know what you're doing.
So you might put them together thinking you're about to save your life and then splat.
Right, exactly. It might not even fly. I did it. Crash. Yeah, exactly. So take us to that next phase. You button up that project. Now you're, okay, what's next? Take me through the the origin of Milton.
Yeah. So number one thing I did was go find a technical co-founder. That was my highest priority. And I knew I wasn't about to go through that experience again without it.
Did you have the idea already? Or did you find a technical co-founder knowing you would have an idea?
So great question. There were two things I learned from KingFit that we could do very well. One was build communities of people around like diabetes and obesity and get them to help each other. And so we had multiple Facebook groups with 50,000 people and millions of views on content. And so we knew we could do that well. The other thing I knew we could do well is super simple tracking and accountability. And so what I did during the KingFit days, and I partnered with a $2 billion company, delivered measurable results, and I pieced together the tool we used, don't tell them, with like all these off the shelf, $20 here, $10 here. And the concept behind that was I learned through building the first couple apps, if it's too complicated for this population, which were people 55 and up who had type 2 diabetes, they'll never use it. So let me try the exact opposite of that. Let me just text these people every single day, have them send me their meals via text message. At the end of the week, I'll review the meals, tell them to work on one thing for the next week and see how that works.
Gotcha.
And that worked.
And you were manually doing that, like as a coach.
At first I manually did it. And then I found a couple tools that let me automate the reach out.
Okay.
But I still had to go and review it and give them feedback and all these things.
Yeah.
But that blew my mind, how well that worked.
And the adoption rate was really high.
The adoption. So we had a
retention, I'm assuming, also was high.
So we had an 88% adherence and engagement at 90 days with a population of people with type 2 diabetes, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And it was 99% automated. So I knew we could do those two things very well. So we would build the communities, that would bring them in. Then I'd get them into this text-based program, that would get the results. So then when I started Moment and I found the CTO, it was like, hey, these are the two things we do very well. I did try to go and get the text product built first, but even at that time, it was before ChatGPT. And so every engineer I met, and even him, the natural language, you see what you're doing here? They'd look at the text messages and they'd be like, we can't do this. We can make a little bit better automated system than you have, but this is missing. This is a missing piece. Now, if I lived in San Francisco and was able to get access to ChatGPT-1, then maybe we would have started earlier.
Sure.
But I didn't. And I didn't learn about ChatGPT until the third version that everybody knows about. Right. So we then tried to build another product first, which was this, we called it Diabetes Moments. And it was a community for people with diabetes. And that actually worked well. So we got engagement. I hired a bunch of diabetes influencers. They post on there every day, including my dad. He was one of them. And started to grow that user base. And it started growing enough to where we sat back down and said, how are we going to monetize this? Well, then the original, this is how we've delivered beyond community in the past. Let's look at this again. And ChatGPT hits the scene. All at the same time.
So sorry, real quick, because there's a disconnect for me on that community. What was that community that was?
It was like, think of it like a Facebook group for people with diabetes, except our own app.
Got it.
Yeah. So we built our own app called Diabetes
Moments. It
was
free.
Yeah.
And then was it just resources?
So
education?
The influencers would get in there, post education, inspiration, support. They'd answer each other's questions.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And so people with diabetes would get in there. I have no idea what I'm doing, but let me watch Pops, and he's going to help me, remind me to manage my glucose today, eat better today, take my meds today. Right?
So the revenue model for something like that would be monetization, having people run ads on your app, or what other way could have you made money?
So
on
this is where this is where Milton was born, because we built in an ad system, and we even partnered with a device company that's $1 billion device company, and they were our first advertiser. And Then we started thinking, okay, how do we support these people even further? Some of these AI tools are starting to look interesting. In fact, you can take a picture of your fingerstick glucose reading and it knows what number's on it. And so then we were like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe a week later, ChatGPT hit the scene and I'm laying in bed playing with it. And I'm like, this has got to go in the app. If people can talk to this, we can monetize this, and then we'll go from there. And what's funny is we started building that bot to go in the Diabetes Moments app, and it impressed people so much that we said, we got to take this out of this app and it's got to be the product.
Yeah.
And the app for now is
lead gen.
Yeah. And we might come back to it. We might not, but this thing is the real thing.
Yeah.
And that's when Milton was born. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. So now go through that product starting. So Milton is a text-based accountability program for people's nutrition.
Yep.
So walk me through the evolution of that.
Yeah.
Like
so the way we describe
changed
it
a few times, right?
So it's just evolved in regards to who our target customer is. Yeah.
Right.
So the way we describe it is it's the easiest way to eat healthy if you're a person trying to live healthier. For coaches, which is our true customer base, it's the easiest way to see what your clients are eating. And so evolution of Milton, then I'll talk about where we are today and the value. But we start building Milton. In the early days, if you built on these ChatGPT tools, it was difficult. One, there's no roadmap. There's no how-to. And engineers, they go to GitHub. They're looking for how somebody done this in the past. What are the resources in the open source networks? There was none of that existed in these early days. And people didn't even know how things were going to be built and scaled and secure. And so everybody's trying to figure it out, including us. And so we started by, luckily, I'd have a network of health professionals who I'd built over the years. And I brought all them in and said, you guys got to text this, you got to try it, and you got to let us know where it falls short, what are the edge cases, what works well, what doesn't. And so I had a bunch of healthcare providers who would do that for us. And that allowed us to really iterate on the prompt. And so then that led us to being able to land a couple paid pilots with healthcare organizations. And those lasted 6 months. And that's really where we started seeing the edge cases, because they distributed it to patient populations. And those people used it in all sorts of ways that we'd never predicted. Now, the difficulty of that phase into the next phase, we had to sit down and think, are we going to spend 12 to 18 months trying to close healthcare deals? Or do we have something here that we can monetize much faster? And so this was 2024, which is crazy, 2 years ago. We decided, okay, we've now been through these pilots. We've created a prototype. Let's build a SaaS product around this and take it to coaches rather than to hospital systems. And we'll come back to the hospital systems and the health plans, but it takes 18 months to close.
What feedback loop signaled that for you, that coaches were the target?
My burn was going to end in 2 weeks, and I knew it took 18 months to close a hospital system.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a good answer.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And so then I'm thinking here, what can I sell in 2 weeks?
Right.
I know a personal trainer. Let me call him. And I was able to sell him that day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I was like, okay, we got to sell to coaches.
That's awesome. That's a perfect answer.
If I had the funding and the bagging, then I'd have been on some ride where it's like, well, we got $1 million. Let's build this out for 18 months and close the deal. And that most likely would have been the wrong decision.
Right.
Yeah. But I was forced into the other decision, which now has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So now take me through, because I don't know what was happening on the back end, I guess the evolution of the back end. So if your target markets, personal trainers, coaches, they obviously have to have a different interface, and you need to automate stuff for them, because if they don't like the way this information is coming from the clients, they don't want to manually review it. So how has that evolved? Was it just a beautiful dashboard that auto-populated all the data they needed from the client day one? Like when you started getting coaches?
So that's a great question. Now, because I had experience as an online coach and a personal trainer and nutritionist and had tried to use all these platforms, I did have a good idea of what the coaching portal needed to be like. So that was an area where I brought expertise to the table and thought, if I was coaching people still and remembering some of my favorite tools that I had used in the past, this is how I would do it. So we did have a good start on that and a good jump on that. Now we have evolved it and iterated on it and made it more powerful. But you're right. It takes in the information from the client and organizes it so easily for a coach. And I don't want to say this in case any of our coaches' clients are watching, but a coach can now be on the go, pull this up in 30 seconds and provide accountability.
Sure.
Like for them, it's so seamless, so easy. And the accountability piece is the powerful piece. That's what people pay trainers for, right? Like, I need you to make sure I show up tomorrow.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how easy it is on their end. At the end of the day, they're paying for that partnership.
Now, the value prop for the coach is, will my clients use this? And they've used so many tools in the past and the clients haven't used them. Mm-hmm. And so they're already skeptical when you come to them and say, hey, I've got this new app for your clients. They don't want to hear that. And so we learned very quickly, it's not about, I got this new app. It's not about, I've got this new AI, because the AI thing did work for a bit. Everybody was all over it. Now people are over it, kind of. It's about, I've created a system that will allow you to see what your clients are eating so that you can get them the best results. And guess what? Look how easy it is for your clients. You can almost guarantee they'll use this. And then they look at it and they're like, wow, that is easy. They just send a photo, they just text. I'm like, yep. And then I show them the coaching portal. I'm like, look how easy it is for you. And they're like, okay, I will give this a try. Yeah. Because I've answered the big questions in their head, which is, will my client actually use this? And then, is this going to overwhelm me? Yep. And so those are those are designed on purpose that way. Like, and I do take, when people see it and understand it and it clicks for them, I get a good feeling. Because I'm like, it took me a long time to understand that's how simple it needs to be, right?
so these clients, so you get the coach and then they have their clients. So you have two end users. Yep. You have the client of the coach and the coach.
Yep.
The client just texts the number. They don't have an app.
There is an app for them now.
There is.
We did start with just text.
Okay.
The app allows us to do way more. So there is an app now. Yep.
So when they take a photo of their food now, at the beginning it was just did they just save the phone number? The contact was called Milton.
Yep.
And then did you have unique phone numbers for each coach?
Yep.
To separate. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So then you go from that to, so I go to my phone. It's like Milton.
Yeah.
I send a text to Milton. Did I just send the photo? Do I just send the photo, or do I actually have to write in something as well? In the text?
Good question. So it all depends on how accurate you need it to be. So for most people, I would say 95% of the population, a photo's enough. The photo's going to be 85 to 90% accurate, right?
All my photos. Yep. No, that's another quarter pounder, Samuel. That's another one.
It's like, actually, you don't even need to send me anymore because I get it. You're only eating quarter pounders. No, that is, so that was one of the biggest things I learned when I was manually texting people is for 95% of folks, if you just show me the photos, you don't even need me to respond. You see 30 photos in a row and you're like, I drank 22 Dr. Peppers. I should drink 10 next time.
Yeah,
so that's was a huge aha for me. So now we're getting into more people who are athletes and bodybuilders and things like that. So if you send a photo with context, it's more accurate.
Okay.
Right? So I might send a photo of my Greek yogurt. I put honey in it. I put protein powder and some berries.
Of course you would.
And if I send that, it's going to make a guess. But if I've got a specific goal, like my brother's in the UFC, for example, he's got to hit weight Saturday. Mm-hmm. And if it's even just a little off, then he's going to miss, and then it's a problem. So we tell people, for most folks, photo's fine, simple text is fine. But if you've got a specific goal you've got to reach on a timeline, then give some context. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the more detail you give, the more accurate it is.
Yeah. That's good to know. So talk about the app now. What's the user interface like now? Can you still text a number, or do you only do it through the app?
So it's 99% through the app. Okay. Now, the main interface looks like ChatGPT. So it's a natural language interface. You send your meals there. And then we've got a dashboard with your data. Here's how many calories you had.
Oh, so they can see their own. That's nice too.
Yep. Okay. So it allows them to stay on track. And it's got progress bars, right? Like you'd expect from any nutrition app. Yeah. Here's how close you are to your daily goals. Here's how close you are on your macros. And so that's all there. And the technology behind the scenes this is what we're really excited about. Just gets smarter and smarter. And so today you could describe us as a SaaS platform. But in the next 6 months, we'll have a true intelligence layer that we can then build APIs around and do all sorts of things with.
Yeah. That's interesting. So today, so I want to use Milton AI, you would refer me a coach. If I reached out cold, or someone hears this podcast, they're like, oh, I want to use that app.
Good question.
How do they work with you?
Yeah. So right now we do predominantly sell to coaches. And the reason for that is a startup. It's just a way to get distribution and generate revenue, right? Yeah. Going direct to consumer with health apps is extremely difficult and costs a whole bunch of money, and then you can still fail. We've learned the accountability of a coach gets people to use it. So if you're paying a personal trainer and they say, hey, I need you to log your meals on this, you're paying them, you listen, right? If we try to run an ad on social media saying, hey, you should log your meals on this, You might be all excited in the moment, like, oh, I need to do this. And then you download it and try it once, and then you forget about it.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the reason why we go to coaches today. If you do reach out to us, I do onboard people on their own every now and then, but I just see the difference in the data.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like through a coach is just way better. And eventually we be so fortunate to make a whole bunch of money. We'll have a direct to consumer model. But.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I agree with that model. I'm that person. If I downloaded, I can't tell you how many calorie counters I've downloaded, and I bet there's 5 on my phone right now, and I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah,
that I stopped using. But yeah, that's really powerful, and the retention side of that is huge, and then consistent data coming into your programs. Everything.
That's everything.
Right?
Yeah,
because the model gets smarter. It's going to get better. So gym owner, so say I want this, but I don't have a trainer and I want a Levi Parker. You're probably listening to this. Okay. We got to get you signed up because I need a trainer to supervise mine. So let's say Levi, local gym owner, trainer, signs up for this. What does he, or does he pay anything, or will I pay and his clients pay?
Yeah. Great question. So we give our customers the option. There's a fee for the organization, right? Okay. Now, how the organization...
Like an onboarding fee or a monthly fee?
Yep. So we've got 2 options. We have self-serve, where you can go to the website, getmilton.com, click on the coaches tab. You can try it for free, 30 days, and then you'll pay $99 a month, and that'll cover 20 clients. Okay. And so most coaches can fit into that category. And if you want to figure it out on your own, then you can do that. Now, if you're a gym and you're serious about this and you want to generate new revenue, you want to keep your clients longer, then we do have onboarding and implementation services where we'll charge you an upfront fee. You'll get access to our team, and we will hold your hand through the first 30 days. And so that we almost guarantee a successful launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then we also position it so that your gym can make new revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the end user price, is that determined based on what the trainer wants to charge them?
Yep.
They determine the price, or do you have recommended pricing?
We do have recommended.
Okay.
And what's interesting is there's different types of coaches. And so you've got your personal trainer at, let's say, Avasa Fitness, which is, I think we're mostly familiar with around here. And they might just have graduated high school and they charge $30 a session. And they're going to use Milton, and they might charge like $5 a month, whatever.
Sure.
Then you've got a personal trainer who's a professional who does this for real. And they're making $600 to $1,000 per client per month. And they see this and they're like, I don't need to charge my clients anything else. I just need them to stick with me for the next 5 years. And so let me add some value. Let me get Milton, make the investment in Milton, and then bring my clients more. And so that's another route. The gyms, they want to sell more personal training. That's their main value. So they know I've got my memberships, but where my real margins are in the personal training services. And so how can I sell more personal training services? How can I differentiate myself from the gym next door? I can license Milton. That'll help me close more personal training deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a very isolated example, but it's just what I know at the gym I work out at. It's predominantly a powerlifting gym and then a strength building. Obviously, I'm not in powerlifting. Strength building. Depending on their goals, I'm assuming that first 30 days, you help them design plans, because the power lifter has a different diet than the guy running, than the basketball player, than the football player, than the wrestler, the MMA fighter.
Yeah.
So how customized can a trainer get? And especially if a trainer's got people with different goals.
Yeah. So here's the magic of Milton. All that stuff is AI driven now.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so whether the trainer wants to design it, in our coaching portal, we have a natural language interface for them to design programs, anything they want. It's as much input they want to provide. Milton will understand that and apply it. Or the client, if the trainer says, let's just get them tracking meals, the client can then talk to Milton and say, well, here's my specific goals. Help me to accomplish these.
Gotcha.
And so that's the power of the generative AI, is the unlimited personal custom plans, unlimited customized recipes, unlimited support, meal plans. All of that is instantaneous now and fully custom to the person.
With tracking and a dashboard.
Yeah.
And it keeps, are you seeing graphs like progress?
Yep.
All that. It sounds like you already have the in-consumer app, by the way.
It's all there.
Sounds like it's about there.
It is. The one piece that's missing that I would say is this intelligence layer.
Okay.
So if I could describe Milton today, what drives somebody to then go back and do their logs is the coach saying, hey, this week, make sure you get your logs.
Yeah.
And I'm watching how the coaches do that, and we're replicating
Makes
it
sense.
with Milton Intelligence. Yeah.
Even if you could replicate that, I'd want to coach because I'm not scared of, I mean, someday I'll probably be scared of AI. I'm not today.
You can ignore it. Yeah.
But like, if you figure out how to enforce accountability with AI, that's a big, I don't know if I want you to figure that out.
I called on the Tesla bot. He's about to show up at your house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, gonna zap me through my phone. Like, how's this going to work? Pavlov's dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
the coach makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And when people ask me about the future of personal training, because now ChatGPT is coming out with ads like, we'll be your personal trainer, right? I believe services like personal training will become even more valuable in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people pay for the human accountability, they pay for the relationship, they pay for someone to go on the journey with them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's unreplaceable. Now, for people who can't afford the trainer and are in an area where there might be a lack of access to resources, we're going to get Milton as high quality as we can to serve you without the human.
Sure.
But our driver are these human coaches.
Yeah. What's the involvement if a coach wants to add this into their business model? What's really their time commitment with 20 clients?
Yeah.
Like, what are you seeing? I am a trainer. I've got 20 clients running through Milton. What's my time commitment to maintain that?
Let me preface it by saying it depends on your tech savviness.
Okay.
So there are, especially with these natural language interfaces, there's people who just can see a ChatGPT and just get it. Like, I know exactly what I'm going to ask. And then there's people who see a ChatGPT interface and they're frozen in time. Like, what do I even do? Where do I start? Because it's infinite. It's all these possibilities. And so depending on your technical savviness, it can be anywhere from you're rocking and rolling in 2 minutes. You sign up for the platform, you add your first client, you type in a program for them, they get the mobile app, they see the program, they start tracking, data comes back to your dashboard, you see the important information right up front, you send them a message, good start. Like, you're done. A couple minutes and you're off to the races. And then if you've got 20 clients, the dashboard's set up in a way where Milton will present to you the most important information. These 5 are engaged, these 5 are doing okay. You need to call these 5 immediately, right? And that's
their contact information's in the app.
Yeah.
Call outside of it. Do you message within the app to your clients, or does that happen outside of it?
So there is an inbox in the app. However, the more powerful reach out is the coach's cell phone number.
You can ignore an app alert.
Yeah.
I mean, look at my phone. There's a couple apps that have 5,000 notifications missed, right?
Yeah, but then your trainer starts calling. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to log my meal. And then you ignore it and go log. And don't worry, I'm all over it, right? And so that is like, that combination is so powerful. So a coach with 20 clients, I mean, a couple minutes a week, depending on how in-depth of the service you're trying to provide. And so if a coach is charging $1,000 a month, then they're in there every single day. Yeah. I'm looking at your details. I'm making suggestions every day. Whereas a coach who's trying to drive some leads, they might charge $100 one time for this thing. And they're like, I'm going to give you a report in 30 days. Right. Yep. So those are it varies based on, but we provide all the training, all the setup, we've got videos, a knowledge base, how-to guides. We've got workshops where you can hop on and learn from other coaches. So the game plan's all there. We make it super simple.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. I like this a lot. I feel like it's a really good idea. What do you think, Tyler? You agree? Yeah. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to sell it for you. Levi, do you have lunch plans after this?
I'm going to get some basketball, but that's about it.
You're going to get some basketball in
exercise
over lunch
for the
hour?
day. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, we'll schedule. We need to have lunch with Levi. I need you to get this guy onboarded.
Yeah.
I'll do the first sales intro with him, and then you can take it from there. Okay. So talk about scaling constraints. Like, do you have any constraints in scaling right now? 100 coaches knock on the door tomorrow because there sounds like there's some personal training at the beginning for the trainers, right? And that adoption, is that?
Yeah, good question.
Obviously, it'd be a good problem.
Yeah,
you want that problem.
Yeah. So I think today, in the last couple months, we've been trying to solve for these. So we're trying to set it up to where if 100 coaches come in an evening, we can get them all signed up, no problem. They're all successful. Now, I think we're at a certain level with that. And as soon as 100 come in at one time, we will quickly learn what level we're really at.
You'll see what breaks. Something will break.
The technology is prepared for the scale. Where I think we need to do some more work and need more data is in taking somebody from sign up to first client to successful over time. Because that's where they have to understand truly how this becomes a part of their business. We've started inventing things around the product, less technical features, more psychological features. So for example, in the health world today, you might go to a gym and they might have an in-body scan. And an in-body scan costs the gym $10,000.
Right.
Why do they pay for that? You could, if you wanted to get somebody's weight, buy a scale at Walmart for $10. They don't pay for it for the weight. They pay for it because it produces this report that's tangible that allows a client to see their progress. So we've got this OG coach advisor, and he's really part of the team. His name's Johnny O. He's out of Florida, and he's been doing this for decades. He's in his 60s. And he was the one who told me this story. He's like, getting clients' results comes down to two things. You need to hold them accountable, and then you need to make the progress visual. Because people, they'll hit weight plateaus, they'll hit strength plateaus, and as soon as they feel like they're not making progress, they lose motivation. And so the in-body scan at $10,000 makes it so easy to show this progress and see, here's where you were, and now here's where you are, even if you don't think anything's different. And seeing that, somebody says, I'll renew for next month, right? And so it's these little things that we're learning on the psychological level that make a huge impact. And so that's one thing is, okay, here's how you make this progress visual for your clients, just like if you had an in-body scan.
Here's how you prove outcomes.
Yeah. And then the other thing is we have to get coaches bought in that seeing nutrition data is best practice as a health professional. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you find a personal trainer, they almost certainly have certifications. They're going to get CEUs at a conference. They're paying money for that. They're trying to improve their craft. But nutrition is still such a missing piece of the puzzle. And so we discovered we had two types of coaches. We had the coach who'd sign up and say, hey, I got this new tool. You should try it. Then we had the coach who'd sign up and say, as a part of my program to get you results, you are required to log your meals for 30 days. And the engagement difference, as you can guess, is just not even close.
Yeah.
It's just not even close. And so we seen that and we thought, if you sign up with us, you need to take our certification, and then 30 days of nutrition for every client is a requirement. Right? We have to instill that in our customer base. And it just makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't want a doctor who ignores a part of their practice, right?
Sure.
It would be considered malpractice. And so if you're a health professional and you're not considering nutrition, how are you getting them the best results? You really aren't.
Yeah.
And so, that's a big thing that we've been working on lately.
What's the accuracy of calorie count, protein, carb, fat, when it's sending in there? Like when you're sending the photo in, and even if you describe it, because weights considered ounces, all that. Yeah. There's like a lot of, and that's what I hate
Little
about
things.
The calorie tractors.
Yeah.
Like, and trackers. I did try a calorie tractor once, and it, I don't know, just didn't make sense. And it's okay. I would prefer convenience over accuracy.
Yeah.
I'll lead with that.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And so when I was talking about how you log makes the world a difference, it does. So if you just snap a photo, it's going to be 85 to 90%, depending on what's in the photo. So if I'm just
that's
snapping
a number I can live with.
Yep. And most people will get results from that.
Yeah.
Most people. And if I'm logging something like, let's say, a hamburger and fries, then it helps to like have my hand in the photo, right? Because then it's even more accurate just from the photo.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to get the details and I need to be precise, then I will text out, this was a cup of this, it was 2 tablespoons of that, it was 3 pieces of this. And then you can take it to another level and you can snap a food label and do text. So I might send a food label and say I had 3 servings. And then it's just money, right? Because the food label does all the work. So it just depends on your input. If you're a professional athlete or a bodybuilder and you've got a show coming up, then you will have to type out the details. It will still be easier than when you used to go and search and, okay, I put in chicken breast and I'm looking at the 24 different options on my fitness bound. I'm selecting one. And then it's still much easier than that because you can type in one flow, in one sentence, 6 ounces of turkey breast, 2 tablespoons of honey mustard, a cup of rice, all in one sentence, and it takes it all and does it well. So even if you want to get the details down to the nitty gritty, it's still easier than the other options.
Yeah. And I like the ones where you like click around and you have to, then you select the measurement, then you go down, scroll down and you try and find that item. And then like the ones that have like pre-menu items, like I had my quarter pounder, on preset, it was saved. It was hearted. But like just to be able to type McDonald's quarter pounder, like I would probably just rather do that. Feels more natural anyway.
Yeah. And here's going through and be speaking to it, right? So we're gonna be we're rolling out voice, and so they'll just, hey, here's what I had. All right, bye.
Yeah,
beautiful. And then they're on
because you can do that instead of a photo. Add the photo if it's complicated, or
but the voice will accomplish the goal.
Yeah, or a food label photo every time. Saves you a ton of time. Yeah, that's interesting. I also wonder, going forward, technology gets really good. You still need that accountability piece. Is there a point where the qualifications get higher? Like if you're making this like a high end thing versus a mass market product, is there any gating? Like, do you actually qualify? Like, I want to be a trainer, or I'm just Miguel. I'm a trainer. I want in.
That's a great question.
Like, do you, any background on that? Because that kind of probably affects your success as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so here's the problem with the fitness industry that's different than healthcare, because now I've got experience in both. Fitness is unregulated. So you can be a ripped 16-year-old kid in high school and be like, I'm a personal trainer, right? And then just be posting flex photos on Instagram. And you might get more clients than the 40-year-old balding guy who's been a strength coach for decades, right? And that's a problem. And it's caused all sorts of grifters and scammers and all sorts of things, and caused a lot of distrust in the fitness industry. Whereas healthcare, you have to go to medical school to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And so it's people have way more trust in the professionals. And so one of the things we think about a lot is qualifying. If you are a quote unquote coach, you don't have a certification, you're just getting started, no worries. We're going to have a Milton certification for you that's going to teach you how to be a metabolic specialist at the terms before, to the level of the next step would be you have to go to medical school, right? You have to go get some sort of medical degree or certification. We want to go that far. And the reason for that is we believe the fitness industry, if we could get our stuff together, is the front door of healthcare. If we did better in fitness, then less people would become chronically preventative healthcare. And so we want to take part in that. We want to certify our coaches. We want to have our own scores. So I wear a Whoop right now, and it's got this really cool thing called the Whoop score. And it's a gamified system. I'm not going to lie, I fell for it, right? Like it talks about your Whoop age. And your goal is to make your Whoop age lower than your real age.
Brilliant.
It's so smart. It's so smart. And I was looking at that. I'm like, man, we need a certification. We need our own scoring system. Now, we're not just going to do it for the be younger, right? The vanity thing. We're going to tie it to outcomes. And if you improve this score, your chances of decreasing your risk for diabetes and heart disease and obesity, those will increase, right? You'll increase your chance of preventing that. And so that's how we think about it, to make it the highest quality, knocking on the door of a healthcare service.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a great standard to have, because that will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, just a go to market as quick as possible, consumer facing, another way to track your health and nutrition.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And but I love the accountability piece. I think that's a beautiful model. I love the networking opportunity. And I think you're just going to naturally stumble into so many other markets and use cases, and outside of even personal trainers, probably, that have clients that need this.
Dietitians, nutritionists, doctors, weight loss providers. And I do believe the future is in the coaching portal. Yeah. Because soon everybody will have an AI assistant. ChatGPT will do this. Your Meta glasses will do this. We might even have a wearable we put in our mouth one day that can understand everything about our people. Might not understand the oral microbiome, but it's a big thing. And I can go on a whole rant about that. So anyways, there'll be many ways to collect the data. Yeah. We still need to empower the health professional, bring it all to one place, make it understandable, consumable, and actionable. And so you're right. It'll then lead to other opportunities with other health professionals to tap into this AI world and this Internet of Things that's unrolling.
And your focus, I mean, the most important thing is that a coach loves using this and loves persuading and pushing their clients to use this.
Yep.
If you stay in there, you're going to secure. Exactly. And allow them to have results. And there's probably a lot of marketing in that too, of themselves, that you can provide over time. Once you get enough data of like, we built in this customer testimonial portal for you, right? Like where clients on the other side, like you're going to have all these great feedback loops to promote their businesses. That's a part I like a lot about this, is like you're supporting also all these other small businesses.
Coaches that is one of my favorite parts.
That's neat. You get to work B2B essentially, and you're not in that's why you're SaaS, software as a service, right?
Yeah. It's that's the funnest thing about this is I'm just hanging out with other entrepreneurs who are in health, getting people healthier. They get paid to get people results. And so if we streamline that, if we help them sell the results, like you said, we need to add a button here that as soon as they reach a goal, they share it to social media.
Right.
And it tags the coach's page. Like,
yeah,
there's all these little fun things that that we're excited about on the horizon.
Oh yeah, and how cool that it's full circle. You know, I think a lot of people have stories from your beginning. Then you kind of, you know, it was all still health for you, but I think it's pretty neat that you're working at a gym.
The full product has come full circle.
College athlete, worked at a gym, then went into entrepreneurship, and now you're helping gym owners, coaches, personal trainers.
You want to know an even funnier story about that, how it's full circle?
Please.
When I was at the gym, we licensed this nutrition program called Balanced Habits. And so when I started designing Milton, I was like, what was that program? Balanced Habits. I called up the owners of Go Time. I'm like, what was that program called? Remind me. And then we walked through it. And I was like, this is Milton, except in the age of generative AI.
Right.
So when we licensed it, they'd provide us all these binders. So we had like a shelf of binders full of recipes and food journals. It was all
like
paper-based.
Physical?
Wow. Like I would hold it in my hand. Someone would come in. I'd hand them this food journal.
That's crazy.
They'd go off into the world. I'd give them this binder of here's the rules to follow. They'd come back and see me every week. They'd show me this food journal. I'd go through it. Okay, good. I'd look at the binder. Yep.
Wow.
Okay, good.
And that was a program they paid for to get all that printed, a curriculum.
We licensed it from this company.
Yeah.
And so that showed me this is a market and a proven case study that's been in this space before and that these gym owners are familiar with.
Yep.
I won't be showing them anything new. I'll just be showing them the rocket ship when they've been using the dune buggy, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. It's perfect, man. Well, what's next? What's the next year? What's the goal for 2026 for you?
Yeah. So 2026, number one focus is profitability. So we've been investor backed, which has helped us get to where we are. We're trying to hit profitability. We're trying to pass that $1 million in revenue mark. We want to grow fast, obviously. And if it makes sense, then we might raise additional funds to do that. But the big focus is just gyms and coaches.
Yeah.
More gyms, more coaches, get them signed up, help them be successful. And then we'll take the right steps based on how quickly we need to get to where we're going next.
Yeah.
When it comes to the technical point of view, how we protect ourselves into this next era of AI, we are focused on a Milton intelligence layer in our system that will make the experience for the client and the coach just an entirely different level. And I think to do that would be the one reason we might raise some additional funds this year. But other than that, we're cooking. We're signing up people every day.
That's awesome.
I got to get to basketball because then at 1, I've got to onboard a gym that has 5 locations.
Nice.
And so it's exciting times. Yep, we're getting rolling. And so we'll just try to keep pouring a little bit of gas on that.
Yeah. Well, congrats. Good work. We'll post your info below.
Sweet.
And keep going.
I appreciate it.
Keep telling the story.
Yeah.
How many podcasts have you been on? I'm sure you've been on a few.
Quite a few. Yep, quite a few. This has been a fun one for sure.
Good.
And I mean, I'm saying all this stuff and it seems like we're just rocking and rolling and all that. This is 10 years in the making. And I feel like we're just now in the game. Like I've been fighting to get in this game for so long. Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness, we might actually be in it now.
and that's a big part of the story. And that says a lot about your grit. And that's what it takes, though. I mean, that's what it takes. It's a unicorn. Every once in a while, it happens where you have an idea, and a year later,
it's rare.
You've made it.
But
rare. That's so rare.
Yeah, easy come, easy go, as they say.
Yeah. Well, keep fighting the fight. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.